So this passage is about love. It's asking us to figure out what love looks like. And it can be quite unique and quite individual. Over time, I've worked with parents who've got kids that are diabetic, and they hold you hostage with their diabetes and that blood sugar and the whole thing. And I distinctly remember one father at one point telling me that the son ended up losing a part of his body because he wasn't maintaining his blood sugar, and that it took that consequence for him to suddenly grow up and take responsibility for his diabetes. So I say this saying it's a delicate dance, it's an intricate dance, it's unique to each individual and that individual inside of the family, and it needs to be done prayerfully, thoughtfully, carefully, cautiously, wisely, most of all. And there oftentimes aren't easy answers. The answers take time to figure out. But just know when we don't take responsibility for ourselves, when we're being irresponsible, when you're an addict, you're swimming further and further and further from shore. And if someone's chasing you, you're pushing them further and further and further from shore. So just keep that thought, in the back of your mind as you're looking at these situations. Are they thinking through these things and growing up, or are they just swimming further and further out into the ocean? All right, January 22nd. Um, I tried so hard to learn detachment. Living with active addiction was confusing, and the idea of detachment seemed vague. The addict in my life was a restless sleeper who fell out of bed almost every night. Feeling it my duty, I would always help him back into bed. One night, after attending an Al-Anon meetings for a while, I stepped over his body and got into bed, leaving him on the floor. Triumphantly, I went to my next Al-Anon meeting and told them I finally learned detachment. Well, they said, that's not exactly what we meant. We meant detachment with love. I left that meeting with a new understanding that I put into practice the very next time my loved one fell out of bed. When I found him on the floor, I still didn't help him into the bed, but I did put a blanket over him before stepping over his body and going to bed myself. This, to me, was detachment with love. Today's reminder: with my higher power's help, I will keep a loving blanket of detachment with me. I will cover my loved ones with it, whether or not they struggle with a disease, keeping in mind that when I am dealing with other human beings, I am dealing with children of God. And the quote says, detachment is not isolation, nor should it remain focused on not enabling sick behavior of the past. Detachment is not a wall, it is a bridge across which the Al Anon may begin a new approach to life and relationships generally. And that's from Al Anon Family Treatment Tool in Alcoholism. So there's one more thing I want to state. When you've been kind of enmeshed, you don't have good boundaries. When you finally figure out, oh, yeah, boundaries, we often kind of go too far. We swing too far to the other side and it kind of a little cold. So that's normal. We're too in someone's business, and then we have to kind of swing a little bit too far before we kind of get the picture and find the middle ground. So I loved this idea that, yeah, the person was on the floor and they needed to deal with the fact that they were on the floor and they had a problem. Putting him back in bed, they could say, oh, it didn't happen. But you did put a blanket on him. So it shows that you recognized where they were and it showed some love and compassion, but you weren't going to hide the fact that they had a problem.